Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me. First of all, they fire me, they got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm going to quit way before then. But if they want to fire me, I would love for them to do that.
Come on, man. I mean,
but that's because you fools on other networks, which we going to become fools next year. We be working on that network. But Oklahoma City and the Cavs been balling for 6 months.
It appears there's some internal drama brewing that could finally shed light on why Charles Barkley is suddenly making bold moves at ESPN and why Shannon Sharpe seems to be unraveling right in the middle of it. Initially, most people assumed it was just coincidence, Shannon stepping back while Charles stepped into the spotlight. But now, new rumors and leaked audio suggest there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And it could have far more to do with envy, attempted sabotage, and a power play that backfired. According to reports, Shannon Sharpe may have tried to quietly derail Barkley's potential ESPN deal at the same time his own career was facing serious turbulence due to a high-profile lawsuit and a series of off-air missteps. Here's where things get more intriguing. Despite Barkley's often controversial opinions, unscripted remarks, and his recent criticism of ESPN itself, the network still appears to be handing him more influence with no public reprimands or consequences. So why is ESPN standing by Charles Barkley while gradually sidelining Shannon Sharpe? Was Shannon actually working to get Barkley removed? Is this just a matter of professional jealousy, or is there something more complex at play behind closed doors? Let's unpack the situation. Insiders with ties to ESPN claim that Shannon Sharpe hasn't been too pleased with Barkley's growing presence at the network. Barkley's candid style, straightforward honesty, and lasting popularity with audiences made him an ideal choice after TNT lost the rights to NBA coverage. Allegedly, Sharpe already under heavy scrutiny following a lawsuit filed by a young woman reportedly just out of her teens began to feel pressure as Barkley was rumored to be stepping into a larger role. It's being suggested that Shannon attempted to influence decision-makers behind the scenes to prevent Barkley from gaining traction at ESPN. Yes, sabotage. What's more, whispers are circulating that Sharpe even shared information with executives regarding Barkley's past controversies, hoping it would raise red flags and keep Charles out of the spotlight. But that strategy seems to have backfired.
Oh, he said the Lakers, first of all, the Lakers have had a great 2 weeks. He said the Lakers saved the NBA season. That's because them fools on the other network, which we're going to be working for next year, that's all they talk about.
And here's the twist. While Shannon may have been focused on exposing Barkley's skeletons, the truth is that Barkley's so-called baggage isn't even buried in the past. It's recent and it's well documented, yet ESPN doesn't seem phased at all. Let's rewind. In 2022, Charles Barkley signed a huge contract, 10 years, $210 million with TNT. But despite that massive payout, he made it clear from the beginning that he wasn't planning to stay the full 10 years. He publicly stated he might stick around for just 2 more years, emphasizing his focus on maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Barkley made it known he's not going to overextend himself for any network.
I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero.
And if anyone had any doubts, Charles Barkley made his stance even clearer by throwing some subtle shade at how ESPN utilizes its on-air talent. He said, "I ain't going to be working like no dog like Stephen A. Smith." That wasn't just a passing remark. Barkley was setting boundaries, making it clear he's not signing up for ESPN's intense, high-demand work culture.
I'm not taking no job when I know how, number one, the most important thing is how much I'm going to work. That's been my biggest gripe, to be honest with you. Like, well, how much am I going to work? I mean, the notion that I'm gonna work more as I get older, that's just not gonna happen.
Now, you might assume comments like that would give ESPN second thoughts, right? But that didn't happen. Instead, they welcomed him warmly, carved out a role for him in their NBA coverage, and even granted him creative flexibility. Another thing, Barkley has real concerns about ESPN's direction, especially when it comes to reshaping the inside the NBA format. He's worried the network could ruin what made it special. Too many ads, too much rigid formatting, and not enough authenticity. But this is where things get complicated. It's not just fans who are uneasy about this shift. Sports media insiders Analysts and even Barkley himself have openly voiced what many were thinking. ESPN could easily mess this up. Let's be honest, ESPN has a reputation for being overly polished, tightly controlled, and very corporate. Unlike TNT, which allowed Barkley to be himself, ESPN is known for shaping its talent to fit a specific brand image. Follow the teleprompter, stick to the script, and stay on message, and that's never been Barkley's style. He even slammed a pilot for a new TNT spin-off show, calling it the stupidest I've ever seen, and he said that publicly. Now, most personalities would have been quietly dropped after that. But Barkley? He's still in play, still supported. Even after calling out ESPN for prematurely hyping Anthony Edwards as the league's next superstar before he truly proved himself, there were no suspensions, no public reprimands, just business as usual.
I've been telling y'all that for 2 months. Hey, ESPN, I love you guys. Don't try to make Anthony Edwards the face of the NBA. The face of the NBA is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Joker, and Giannis. You can't give it to people. They have to take it.
Now, that single remark made waves. It wasn't just confidence, it came off as a subtle message, a display of leverage. Barkley clearly understands his value, and more importantly, he knows ESPN needs him right now. That's where the tension seems to build. Rather than focusing on managing his own public image, Shannon is reportedly reacting by trying to push back against Barkley. But instead of coming across as calculated, it seems more like a reaction driven by pressure than planning. Insiders say once Charles caught wind of Shannon's alleged actions, he didn't take it lightly. While he's not known for behind-the-scenes battles, Barkley reportedly told people close to him that he wasn't entertaining any games. Barkley isn't about office politics, but when he's unhappy, he doesn't hold back. And while Charles is locking in a long-term deal and staying focused, Shannon's situation is beginning to look like a case study in personal missteps.
Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me. First of all, they fire me, they got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm going to quit way before then. But they want to fire me, I would love for them to do that.
Imagine being in Shannon Sharpe's position for a moment. He was reportedly on the brink of signing a $100 million deal, that is, before the lawsuit, the Instagram Live mishap, and growing talk of tension within ESPN. Then Charles Barkley, fresh off publicly criticizing ESPN's own methods, enters the picture and not only gets promoted but also shielded and supported. It's no surprise Shannon is said to be frustrated. The contrast in how the two are being treated is hard to ignore. And here's where things get even more complicated. Rumor has it that once Barkley found out Shannon had allegedly tried to block his ESPN opportunity, he made a very deliberate statement on air about being too expensive and essentially unfireable. And no, that's not speculation, he actually said it.
Let me tell y'all something.
Tell me something.
And first of all, I want all the smoke. I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard or anything like that.
I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard. Right. I like that.
Hey, man,
I'm stealing that one.
The Lakers are doing great.
Let's address the major issue here, the $50 million lawsuit. A woman named Gabriela Zuniga came forward accusing Shannon Sharpe of ESA and threatening behavior, claiming their alleged relationship began when she was barely of legal age. We don't have all the facts yet, but the lawsuit has had a major impact, and it gets more complicated. Just a few weeks before the lawsuit went public, Shannon accidentally stayed live on Instagram, and the footage didn't do him any favors.
Couldn't be heard.
Let's just say the IG Live incident involved behavior that raised a lot of eyebrows, giving people even more reason to question Shannon's decisions. One commenter summed it up by saying, Shannon Sharpe ended his own career, he's got no one else to blame. Another added, looks like he's upset they gave Barkley the raise. Sounds like jealousy, plain and simple. And the online chatter hasn't been kind. Let's take a closer look at what people are thinking. Jealousy? Possibly. Because Charles Barkley is, without question, a legend. Whether or not you agree with his opinions, he's consistent, he's entertaining, and he keeps it real. And here's the bigger picture. Barkley's not coming to ESPN alone. He's bringing the entire Inside the NBA crew with him. That means Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, even the full TNT production team. Same set, same chemistry, same uncensored tone, just under the ESPN banner now.
Like I said, even though the name changes, the engine is still the same. And to that new network we coming to, we're not coming to F around. And since it's the last show, I'm gonna say it, we're not coming to F around. We kicking ass, we taking names, and we taking over.
So while Shannon was trying to keep his position secure, Barkley was orchestrating something much bigger. This isn't just a personal promotion, it's a full takeover. ESPN didn't just sign a personality. They acquired an entire show, and insiders say Barkley's new platform could define the next phase of ESPN's NBA coverage, potentially sidelining Sharpe and others in the process. There's even speculation that Barkley may have influence over who's brought in next, which means power, control, and visibility, the kind of leverage Shannon once had, but may no longer possess. Now here's a theory that's gaining traction. What if ESPN actually wants this tension to continue? Controversy drives engagement. Conflict keeps audiences watching. And with both Sharpe and Barkley trending nonstop, ESPN might be letting the friction build while they benefit in the background. Meanwhile, Shannon's credibility is taking repeated hits. Even worse, some say he's reacting emotionally. Rumors suggest he's frustrated about not receiving a pay bump to match Barkley's deal, and that ESPN is distancing itself from him due to the lawsuit. Commenters aren't holding back. One remarked, "Chuck's not out here chasing barely legal girls, he's earning his spot. Don't be mad. You fumbled your own bag." It's harsh, but that sentiment is spreading. And speaking of shifting blame, there's one more name Shannon is allegedly pointing fingers at: Shaquille O'Neal. Because here's the twist, nobody expected Shaq and Barkley are both stepping into the very space Shannon thought was his. TNT might have lost its NBA rights, but Shaq and Chuck, they're landing just fine right at ESPN in seats that once looked like Shannon's future. Now, if you've been paying attention, you already know that tension between Shannon and Shaq has been quietly building for years. Subtle jabs on air, quick digs during interviews, and the occasional comment on social media, it's been ongoing. But now, it seems like Shaq may have been playing the long game. Just a few weeks ago, an audio clip leaked, allegedly capturing a conversation between Shaq and a well-known media fixer, someone known for uncovering damaging information on public figures. In the recording, a voice that sounds a lot like Shaq is heard saying, "Find me something real on Shannon. I know it's out there. I want the kind of stuff that'll stick."
Ooh, let me work on that one right quick. That's a tough one.
All right, and remember, I'm paying top dollar for all that information. Love you, boy. Hey, don't tell nobody.
All right, one.
All right, cool.
Not Shortly long after that, the lawsuit dropped, and Shannon's brand started to take a hit piece by piece. Was that just bad timing or something more calculated? That's up to interpretation, already under scrutiny for questionable off-camera actions. The timing couldn't have been worse for Shannon. Behind the scenes, ESPN executives are reportedly observing everything. While they continue to back Sharpe publicly, internally, it seems they might be preparing to move in another direction. Barkley's new NBA studio show has already been approved, and word is he'll have influence over the talent lineup. That doesn't bode well for Shannon, who may be on the verge of being pushed out. Think about it, why would ESPN hold on to someone generating negative headlines when they've got Barkley, who consistently delivers ratings? ESPN is clearly betting on personality-driven content. That's why they brought in Pat McAfee. That's why Stephen A. Smith is constantly on screen. And now Barkley appears to be their next major investment. According to insiders, Barkley's name is all over internal ESPN presentations. He's being positioned as the relatable voice of the NBA, the guy who can speak freely, challenge the status quo, and still bring in advertising dollars. And that's likely where the tension lies. Instead of working to rebuild his image, Shannon is reportedly going on the offensive, targeting Barkley. But honestly, it feels more reactive than strategic. So, what's next? Barkley's already said he plans to retire in a few years. Until then, he's set to enjoy the ESPN spotlight and the financial rewards that come with it. As for Shannon, unless he takes steps to resolve the legal issues and reshape his public image, this might be the start of a serious decline. He's had a strong run, but this could signal a turning point. Still, let's keep it balanced. This may not be the end. Shannon's still a recognizable figure with a loyal fan base. If he can recover from this lawsuit and regain control of his narrative, there's potential for a comeback, maybe even something like the career resurgence we've seen from Joe Budden. Regardless, it's starting to look like the ESPN seat might not be his much longer. So now the questions become, was Shannon Sharpe genuinely trying to block Charles Barkley? Or is that narrative just a distraction from his own challenges? Is ESPN making the right call by doubling down on Chuck? And can Shannon bounce back, or has he permanently lost his footing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This situation is evolving fast, and it's time to talk about it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you're tapped in for the next update. In the world of sports media, one wrong move can change everything.